Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Well, thanks for coming out to the training today. My name is Nate Draper, and I'll be taking you through a little bit of a lengthy webinar, so make sure you have a pen and paper handy and can take some notes, and or however you want to take notes. If it's on a tablet, pen and paper, the old-fashioned way. But anyway, the webinar today is going to be on a checklist, an 8-part or an 8-point checklist that I like to use when I'm considering whether or not I'm going to pick up a product. And this is specifically for product that I'm sourcing from a retailer, doing some retail arbitrage, or a wholesaler that I'm thinking of buying some small bulk of. So 8 points, and the plan is to go through each of these and talk about some of the tools that help you to kind of check off each of these points as we go. And some of these are more important than others. We'll talk about that as we move along. And I as I get started with this, one of the first things I should reiterate is that it's very rare to have a product that is going to pass with flying colors across all 8 points. Extremely rare. There's always going to be a little bit of give and take, and the whole idea behind this is we're just trying to limit the risk. We're trying to make the best guess, and yes, it is a guess, educated as we can on whether or not we should go ahead and pick up the product and that it's going to sell for us and make the kind of money we want it to make. So yeah, we're just trying to put together a checklist where hopefully we've checked off as many of those 8 points as possible, and we'll go through that. We're going to do that with this particular product right here, this Pyrex Simply Store 11 cup rectangular bakeware dish. This is actually coming from a wholesaler that I work with from time to time. And so we'll just get started. First thing that I always like to do before anything else is I like to make sure that I am not restricted from selling this item. I've done a webinar on checking for that, more in depth, and why Amazon has restrictions and where they're at, etc. But for this one, to try and keep it as short and sweet as possible, you always want to check. You always want to make sure that you're not going to go through all this research and then go try and add it into your store after you've purchased it and get it shipped off to Amazon, only for Amazon to come back and tell you that there's some sort of restriction, whether it's a brand restriction, a category restriction, a subcategory restriction. So I like to do this first. Before I will continue with a product, I like to know whether or not it's something I'm going to be able to sell right now, or if there's going to have to be a little bit of a process that I go through to be able to sell this item. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how to check this really quickly. So I'm just scrolling down the page until I get to the product information section, which is right here. This is where my mouse is getting kind of big there. This is where we want to grab the ASIN, the unique identifying number that will allow us to go in and check to see if Amazon's got any restrictions on this. So I highlighted it, copied it, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump into a seller's account. And this is kind of a dummy account that I use here at work, and you're just going to pretend to add a product. You're going to come over to your inventory tab once you're signed into your seller's account and click on add a product. Scroll down, and right here it says list a new product. So I'm in there. I pasted my ASIN in there and hit search. And what I'm looking for is this. This is a green light specialist. I can sell this right now if I want to, because right here below where it says sell yours, we would see a listing limitations apply link. It would say that. It would say listing limitations apply, and you would click on that to find out what the limitations are. And again, for more info on that, check out the webinar on selling restrictions on Amazon, and we can get more in depth there. But for right now, we don't see any listing limitations. We have a green light. We are good to go. So I can continue with the research. So that's point number one, is checking to see if there are restrictions. So point number two, we want to check the sales rank. Okay, we want to make sure that it's an item that is ranking well, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And we actually, right here on this page, we have it. The sales rank is 25,652, but I want to go back to the product page to also show you the sales rank, and here it is right here. So again, down in this product information section is where you're going to find the sales rank, if there is one, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, sales rank 25,000, pardon me, 25,652 in kitchen and dining. That's a pretty solid rank. Write this down: 150,000 or less for a sales rank number that we're looking at, and the sales rank must be, and this is also what you should write down and include in your notes, the sales rank for 150,000 or less needs to be in the parent category. Parent category. We can see here, kitchen and dining, this is the parent category. If we come down, look, there's a sales rank of 590 in kitchen and dining, and then with the subcategory of storage and organization. So basically what that's saying right now is that this item is the 590th best selling storage and organization product. Every tool that we use to estimate our monthly sales and get an idea of how frequently the item is going to sell, which is another point that we'll talk about here in a few minutes, every tool out there is kind of programmed to use that parent category rank. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes there's little glitches and they'll come in and grab some of these subcategory rankings that we see here, and then it kind of skews or really isn't an accurate estimator. Usually will inflate the sales and make it seem like it sells a lot better than it really actually does. So again, check the sales rank. 150,000 or less in the parent category is what we're shooting for. Now, 25,000 is I mean, relative to 150,000 is a fantastic sales rank. But I always tell students there is kind of a golden zone. I heard a guru one time call it the holy grail of sales ranks that you should be shooting for. 1,000 to 10,000. Anything in that range, anything with a sales rank in that range is going to be selling multiple times a day. Several, sometimes 10, 20, 30, maybe even 100 times a day, type of deal. So a very, very hot item, a good selling item. Sales rank, I mean, we could go below 1,000. 1,000 to 10,000 is the gold zone. If something had a sales rank of 750 or 500 or 15 or, heaven forbid, 1, if it was the best selling item in that category, again, it's going to be selling really, really frequently. But the problem is, usually when you get items that have a sales rank of 1,000 or less, a lot of times you're going to have too much competition. There's going to be too many sellers, and it just too competitive of a product. So 1,000 to 10,000 is kind of the sweet spot. Anything with a parent category sales rank of 150,000 or less, I'm going to consider. Okay, and again, to check for the sales rank, you come down to this product information section, and it's in this section right here. It says best sellers rank. One of the things that I should mention is there's going to be occasions where you don't see a sales rank at all. That's bad. It's either a brand new item or something that's been on Amazon for weeks, months, or years and just never sells. You'll sometimes see a sales rank of like 3.5 million. That's actually, in my opinion, better than something without a sales rank. When you're getting up in that range, that sales rank getting higher and higher and higher, the less frequently it's selling. The other thing that could happen is you might see a sales rank, but only a sales rank in the subcategory where we've got these threads here: kitchen and dining, storage and organization, or kitchen and dining, storage and organization, and then a subcategory of that to go food containers. If it just has a subcategory ranking, if you see these threads here, breadcrumb trails is what we like to call them. If you only see the subcategory rankings, again, you're not interested in that product. You want to see the sales rank in the parent category. And there's another quick way here in a minute that I'll show you how to check for that as well. But anyway, that's point number 2 is sales rank. Point number 3 is going to be competition. Okay, competition in 2 different categories. We've got quantity of competition, and then we've got the type of competition. So the different types of competition that we need to be worried about. Number 1, we need to be worried about whether or not Amazon itself is selling the product. We need to be worried about other Amazon fulfilled sellers. Most likely, most of us are using the FBA, the Fulfillment by Amazon process. So we need to be aware of other Amazon fulfilled sellers. And then we also, kind of lowest on the totem poles, merchant fulfilled sellers. Okay. The reason why I say lowest on the totem pole there is because usually merchant fulfilled sellers have a hard time getting into buy box rotation. Amazon's going to show favoritism to people who sell using their fulfillment method. Amazon trusts its own shipping and fulfillment way more than it's going to trust us shipping out ourselves. Also, when we're shipping out ourselves, typically we can't, guarantee free shipping within 2 days. That Prime designation that you get when you're selling using the Fulfillment by Amazon method, again, is another kind of bonus for you and another incentive for Amazon to want to feature you in that buy box rotation. So we're going to scroll up the page here and we're going to check out the sellers on this one. So there are a couple of different places you can look at the seller information. Usually every listing is going to have this little section right here that says new or new and used or whatever the conditions are that the item's being sold in, and then it'll give you a number in parentheses. That's the number of sellers and the number of offers on the product. So we see that here, or we can see that over here. Kind of the same thing. We click on either one of these, it's going to get us to the next page. And this is, I always like to do this. We're gonna look at all these sellers, and we're gonna look at the quantity, obviously, but we're also gonna look at the type of seller. So what I like to do usually when I'm trying to get an idea of who's going to be rotating in buy box with me is look at other comparable sellers. Amazon being one, and then FBA sellers, merchant fulfilled sellers. I'm really not that concerned about most of the time. So what I like to do is make sure that I've got the condition new box checked over here, and then I will also check Prime. That basically is going to let me know what sellers I'm going to be competing with that are also using the Fulfillment by Amazon method. So first and foremost, the first thing I see in here right now, Amazon is not selling this item. Paper Inch is selling this item. Right now it's on back order from them, but if you wanted it right now, you could buy from ShipIQ for a little bit more. But both of these guys are Amazon fulfilled. Actually, no, this is a good one. We don't see this very often. You can see right here where the delivery method, you can see Fulfillment by Amazon on this one, for this particular seller. And they've got Prime obviously being offered. This one, we don't see fulfillment by Amazon on this particular delivery method. What we have here is a merchant fulfilled seller who has gone through an extremely rigid application process to be able to say they can offer Prime on their products and still them do the shipping. So not Amazon, ShipIQ, ship it out to the customer within 2 days and have it be free. Very, very difficult and actually pretty rare to have a merchant fulfilled seller that has gotten that Prime status. I haven't even gotten Prime status. So anyway, the next thing that we want to look at is the quantity. We've talked about type. Okay, so the quantity, right now, we could look at this, we could go, okay, we have 2 sellers that we're going to compete against, that kind of fit the same, criteria or selling methods that we're planning on doing. And then the next thing you got to do is look at the quantity. Who's actually going to be eligible for the buy box? We notice if I hit the back arrow real quick, go back to the product information page, you can see that even though that particular seller was on back order, they're still winning the buy box. You can see that 1482 right here is still kind of the featured price. There, and you can see it's paper inch right there. These guys are winning the buy box, even though it's on back order. Amazon's still featuring them. And it's because of their price. If we go back and we look at those sellers that we were considering competing against, there's only one other seller that was offering Prime, but you can see he's almost $7 more than $6 or $7 more than this price. So general rule of thumb with buy box rotation, and there's another webinar that you can check out that goes way more in depth on this, but the general rule is you take whoever the lowest Prime seller is, and whoever's within 5% of that low Prime price is going to typically see some buy box rotation. Okay, so in this particular scenario, if I'm able to get this product from my wholesaler for a cheap enough price, basically what I'm looking at is having to compete with this particular seller, even though they're back ordered, due back in stock in just a few days here. So by the time I would get the same item in, it would be, they would still be in there, most likely. So in this sense, when we're checking our competition, we really probably only have one seller that we're competing with. Okay, and this is going to be important for the next couple points that we talk about here. But there's one tool that I wanted to mention that kind of coincides with checking competition, and it's called the How Many extension. Okay, How Many. Free. They have a trial version, a free trial version, and then they have a paid version. The free version of this tool, and I'm going to show you how to use it here in just a second, but the free version of this tool gives you 5 uses a day. The unlimited use of this tool is, I think, $15 a month, maybe a year. I should have checked into that. I've only ever used the free version. But anyway, what it does is it actually lets you look at how much inventory your competitors have. Pretty cool tool. So it's just an extension, and there's a webinar on the How Many extension that you can check out that goes in a lot more in depth. But we're gonna look at our competitors and how much inventory they have. So we're gonna click on that, and that little blue circle is gonna sit there and spin. And spin and spin and spin. And what it's doing right now is it's going in and it's adding $999 to both these shopping carts here and telling you how many you were allowed to check out based on that number. So we added $999 and $999, and these guys have 1 in stock. Basically, that's usually what shows up when they're in back order. And then these guys, ShipIQ, have 10 in stock. Okay, you will sometimes see like 999 plus here. Basically, that means they had more than 1,000 in stock, and they're going to be in on that listing with you for a long time. But anyway, yeah, this is a nice tool when you have a pretty good idea of how frequently the item sells on a daily basis, and you have a pretty good idea of how many people are going through buy box rotation. You can actually estimate how quickly both you and your competitors are going to sell out of the inventory that you have. So this can, help you to determine sometimes whether or not you want to get in on this product. If this item is selling several hundred times a day and you've only got a few sellers in there selling it and their stock counts are relatively low, it's a good chance that you're going to see some rotation and maybe even have some people sell out, and then you get even more rotation because they're out of stock type of deal. So again, checking your competition and knowing things like what kind of inventory counts they've got can be it's super important and should be done every time you're considering getting in on a product like this. So that is point number 3, checking your competition. Okay. Point number 4, velocity. Okay, point number 4 is going to be velocity, or the frequency that the item sells, how frequently it sells. To do this, there are several different tools out there that can basically accomplish the same thing to varying degrees of reliability. I'm going to show you 2 that I like to use that are pretty solid and have been pretty accurate for me. There's one called FBA Toolkit. I've got that tab open, just a website, fbatoolkit.com. They've got a paid version of the site. We're not going to use that. The free version of the site is right here, what we're looking at. And basically what this does is it's got every category that Amazon has and a graph, and then a little box where we can put in a sales rank. So to kind of show you how this works, I think the sales rank was like 25,000 something. Yeah, 25,652 in kitchen and dining. So I am going to go to kitchen and dining, put in 25,652, hit go there, and then within just a second or two, it gives me a 30-day average and how many sold yesterday at that number. So 3 a day over a 30-day period. Okay, 3 a day over a 30-day period, 6 sold yesterday. But 3 a day over a 30-day period, that's basically 90 sales in a month. That's a nice, solid moving product. So 90 sales in a month. Now here is where we would want to go back to our competition. Okay, if we were selling this and we knew we had one other seller in there that was getting buy box rotation right now, which we did, we looked at that, you would put yourself and that other seller into this 90 sales a month metric and basically just divide it by 2. So we're each going to see about 45 sales a month, as long as a couple of things stay the same. And this is where it gets a little bit difficult, and there's always an element of guesswork and hope in some cases that we have to do. As long as no other sellers happen to get in and price down in that $14 range that we were looking at that item being at. And then the other thing is, as long as the sales rank is somewhat stable. Okay, that sales rank is it's flexible by the day, by the minute, in some cases, certainly by the hour. It changes all the time. So you'd never really want to take just a snapshot, and this is going to lead to the next point that we're going to talk about, but you never really want to take a snapshot like this exact moment in time, sales rank is 25,652, and run with it. What if the sales rank tomorrow is 80,700? Or, what if the sales rank is even better, most of the time, and it's actually right now hitting a little bit of a lull, and we could buy more of the item because it's selling at a higher pace. I mean, there's a lot of things that we don't know. This is just a starting point. Okay. The other tool, while I'm still talking about sales rank specifically in this facet, the other tool that can help you get the sales rank really, really quickly is an extension that we're going to use here in just a few minutes for a couple of the other points that we've got. It's an extension called A+ FBA Calculator. 100% free, A+ FBA Calculator. You just do a Google search for A+ FBA Calculator, and you'll find it and get it installed, and you should be in good shape there. It's a Chrome extension. There is a webinar that goes into a little bit more detail on how to install it and how it works. But anyway, this tool will also give you your estimated monthly sales. So it's just this little orange A with that blue plus sign, if you can see it, hopefully. I clicked on it, popped up a calculator. You can see I'm going to be able to put some information in here, but if we come down to this section, I'm going to highlight it. Estimated monthly sales, 95. So based on the sales rank that was on this page, 95 for a sales rank of 25,652, that's close enough for me. If we were to compare the two tools, FBA Toolkit and your calculator there, FBA Toolkit was saying 90 and A+ FBA Calculator saying 95. That's close enough. Close enough. If we're off by hundreds or 30 or 40 or 50, that's when we start wondering what we should trust. Excuse me, but yeah, this is still feeling pretty good about the estimations. But again, this is based on what the sales rank is right now. What was it yesterday? What do we think it's going to be tomorrow? What was it 3 months ago? That brings me to my next point. Number 5 is going to be trends, product trends in 2 different areas, price trends and sales rank trends. And there is a tool, it's another extension, that helps us to identify these trends. And I'm scrolling up the page here, and I'm looking at it right now. So this tool is called Keepa, Keepa. There is a webinar that talks about how to install this tool and a little bit more in depth on how it works. But yeah, I've got it installed, and it puts this little graph, these 2 graphs, I should say, on every product that I look at, and gives me some nice historical data on the performance of this product. Okay, and I've got it set up so that it shows me what the price has been, what the sales rank has been, and down in this second graph, what the new offer count is. The new offer count, that's sellers. So at this moment in time, February 14th, there were 9 sellers. Dropped a little bit. Somebody sold out, and right around this time, we went to 8, and then so this new offer count gives you an idea of how many sellers there are. The other thing that this graph is also showing is that back here, what's that date? January 29th. Sorry, I couldn't see it. Amazon was selling this product. And when they were selling it for $12.99. So to kind of go back to help us check our velocity a little bit more realistically, I'm going to focus on the sales rank here for a minute. You can see that this sales rank, just like I was saying, day by day, there are peaks and valleys. Where there's some days where it gets up to 88,000, and then other days where it's 40,000. And you know, today where were we at? I think we were at 26,000. So yesterday we were looking at a sales rank of 38,000, and so there are peaks and valleys with this thing. And if we go to FBA Toolkit real quick, I'll show you what that sales rank can do to your sales. We saw a sales rank of 88,000 something. I'm just going to put in 88,000. We hit go. So that says that it sells every other day. So you can look at a sales rank in kitchen and dining of 88,000, and that sales rank of 88,000 compared to 25,000 is going to drastically impact how well it's selling. So it's saying at that pace, at that rank, the item would sell one every 2 days. So you'd look at about 15 sales. But again, that sales rank, it was only 88,000 something. 88,185 for a short period of time. A lot of times it drops down into the 40,000 range and into the 29,000 range. I mean, you can see that there is a good amount of fluctuation here. So what you want to try and do to get a really, really accurate depiction of what your sales rank is over time. I kind of like to try and draw a line kind of through the middle of the peaks and valleys, and also look at the scale, the range of the graph here. Some graphs you'll see it go from 0 to 100,000 to 200,000, all the way up to 1 million, if it's an item that has a really, really high sales rank most of the time. But this actually has a pretty solid rank. You can see the scale of this graph. It actually only goes up to 100,000, but I don't think it ever hits that. It gets close, but it never actually hits 100,000. So what you want to do is kind of try and find an average in here. And I'm going to say, with a lot of these peaks and valleys being at, the high 80,000, low 90,000 range, and some of these valleys being down in the 25, 30,000 range, this thing probably realistically has a sales rank of about probably about 50,000. If you were to get like an average sales rank, you could feel pretty good about the estimation on that. So that's where FBA Toolkit can come in handy. Once you feel like you've got your average sales rank, you can come plug it in. Let's just say it was 55,000. Hit go. Okay, so 50, something that sells or that has an average sales rank of 55,000, it's going to give you one sale a day over a 30-day period. So then again, we can go back to how many sellers are going to have buy box rotation, and right now we're projecting that it's us and one other seller. So you would divide 30 by 2, and you basically would know that at this rate right now, as long as there weren't any other sellers that got in there, and the sales rank stayed, kind of in the range that it's staying in right now, that you would probably sell about 15 of this item every month. This particular wholesaler wants me to buy 100 units of this storage dish thing, and so basically you could easily kind of project that off of a sales rank of 55,000 over an extended period of time, and one other seller being in there, that it's probably going to take me close to 10 months, give or take a month or so, before I completely sell out of that inventory. Some people are okay with that, other people aren't, and you can talk about that kind of stuff with your coach. This is just analysis, but again, this is what that kind of analysis can do. It can really help you project, what your inventory is going to do over time with fairly accurate results. So anyway, that is point number 5. I had to remember that. Point number 5. That is your trends. The one thing that I wanted to touch on before I move to the next point really quick, now that I'm looking at that graph, I mentioned Amazon was in here. And typically when I'm telling students and they're starting out and buying product for the first few times, if you see Amazon in on the listing, you're usually running away, because it's hard to know if Amazon's going to dominate the buy box or not. Sometimes they won't rotate through other sellers who are sometimes even priced lower than what they're priced at. Anyway, the Amazon's only in here for a brief sliver of time back in January. But the cool thing about this graph is you can actually change this and you can go by the day and see what the history's been, by the week, by the month. The default is 3 months. That's what I like. You can go a year. So if we change that to a year, you can see that, and you kind of have to, it's probably kind of small, but you can see there are periods where you've got white, a lot of whites, and then these slivers of orange that come in. That's the one that we were looking at on the 3-month view right here. Then we have to go back a little ways, and then back in November, Amazon came in, was selling this item. So periodically, Amazon does come in and have some of this stuff in their inventory. So that's always something that you're kind of trying to think about or project. Is, does Amazon sell this? Have they sold it? What are they selling it for? So on this one, I wouldn't worry about it too much. I wouldn't worry about the fact that Amazon has sold this, because they're only in for short periods of time. But it can cause you a lot of headache if you see a product that Amazon is just always selling. And you'll see that when, instead of seeing just this little sliver of an orange shade here in this orange line, the whole graph will be filled in with orange. And usually, at least initially, that's usually stuff you want to stay away from. So anyway, again, just kind of sum it up. These are trends that you really want to see. Trends with what the price does, trends with what the sales rank does, trends with how many sellers are in there. So the keep a graph and product trends. That's point number 5. Point number 6 and 7 are very closely correlated. Point number 6 is going to be cost to acquire. This is a 100% deal breaker. If your cost to acquire is too high, it's killing your profit margins based on what you're able to sell it at over on Amazon. Obviously that's going to lead you in one direction or another as to what to do with that product. So your cost to acquire is something you're considering. And then point number 7 is your profit margin. Okay, your profit margin. That's where I'm going to pull up the that calculator again. So I'm going to come back up to the calculator extension. I clicked on it. And I'm going to pull this over here. I just want you to see something. So not to get too far off on a tangent, but I've got this email here that's coming from this wholesaler. And these are a bunch of different products that they send out all the time. And this is where I got this particular product. So we know our cost to acquire, you can see, he's saying your price. Our cost to acquire is $475. So not just pulling numbers out of a hat here. I'm actually, this is a real product that we could purchase if I bought 100 of them. That's that $470 price. That's what's given to me. But anyway, so calculator is very simple, very easy. You can put in your product cost, which again is our cost to acquire, which is $475. Your shipping cost, and in this particular case, this wholesaler will ship directly to Amazon. And when you're shipping into Amazon, you're getting Amazon's preferred rates, which is about 40. If you want to be really, really conservative, and we can be really conservative here, we'll say 50 cents a pound. Okay. So, and it's going to take that into consideration because it's got the product weight there. You don't worry about cost per click cost. This metric is if you're doing advertising for this product. There's paid advertising that you can do through Amazon. We're not doing that right now, so you don't have to worry about filling that in. So basically, and what you can even do is you can basically just take 50 cents, and I would actually even just multiply it by 280. And so I've got just my phone here, and I'm just going to multiply that to get the actual dollar amount for the per unit shipping cost here. So I'll take 0.50 and I will multiply that by 2.8, and we've got $1.40. So my shipping cost It's $1.40 to get that into Amazon. So between my cost to acquire and my shipping cost, and then what the item is selling for, which right now is $14.82, then I've got my Amazon fees, that are over here right now. My monthly storage, and there's another webinar that talks specifically about all of the fulfillment by Amazon fees. We won't get into too much detail on them here, but basically these are all the fees that you're going to look at. Your storage fees, the pick and pack fee, which is Amazon's cost to pull it off the truck, get it in the storage, and get it shipped to your customer. And then the referral fee, basically that's just Amazon saying, we sent you the customer, we referred you the customer, here's our take. So based on all of those fees, your shipping cost, your cost to acquire, we're making a grand total of 77 cents per sale. And that's if the price stays the same. If it drops, we don't have a lot of room before we're actually losing money on the sale. So not a very profitable item at that price. Now, if we were selling this, let's say that seller that we were looking at only has a few more in stock after he gets his back order out of there, and he's just got things replenished. Let's say he just gets out of there. There was that other seller in there, I think it was like Ship IQ or something. They were in the $20 range. $20 range. Obviously we're doing a little better with our profit. But anyway, this calculator is nice and easy, really straightforward on the fields that you fill out, and really accurate with the fees and what your margin impact or your profit margin is per sale. It also gives you return on investment percentage there. A lot of people will say, well, what's a good ROI? What's a good return on investment? Well, it's kind of subjective to the person and what they're deeming is acceptable, but kind of an industry standard. A lot of Amazon sellers will say, I'm not going to waste my time unless I can get at least 30% ROI back on a product. But again, it's subjective to the seller and what they're willing to accept as far as a per unit sale and what they have to spend to make that money back. So anyway, nice, easy little calculator that allows you to, with good accuracy, account for those 2 points, 6 and 7, your cost to acquire as well as your profit margin. Okay, and again, that's the A+ FBA calculator. All right, point number 8. Point number 8. Out of everything that we look at is one that I pay the least attention to, but I don't completely ignore it either. And it's reviews. Reviews on an item. How many reviews there are, as well as what the consensus is as far as consumer happiness is. So on this particular item, we've got 285 reviews, good healthy amount. And then we've got 4.5 stars. Okay. Usually what I'll tell students to do is if a product has 3.5 stars or more, it's something that you can sell with reasonable expectation that your customers are going to be happy. You're not going to deal with an item that's returned on a regular basis. Or get customers mad and leaving negative reviews. And there's a webinar on the Amazon review policies and things like that. And sometimes a customer will be mad that the 11-cup rectangular bakeware dish didn't store things correctly and they didn't like it, and then they go leave you a negative review as a seller. When you as a seller, you were just selling the product. I mean, it shouldn't impact your customer service or your transaction rating, which is what the seller review is meant for. It should be a customer product review. Anyway, I'm getting a little off topic there, but basically, just to kind of sum it up, you want a product that's got a lot of reviews. The quantity of the the quantity of the reviews. We've got 285 reviews here. That's a pretty good amount of reviews, because not every transaction is going to result in a review. I read something once and felt pretty good about it in my own personal experiences. About 1 in every 10 sales is going to result in a review. So you could look at that and kind of do the math and see how many times this thing is sold, over the lifetime of the product, when you have that kind of data. But more importantly than the quantity of the reviews, it's in the quality. If you've got 3.5 stars or higher, you're choosing a product that customers that are buying from you are going to be pretty happy with. And that's about it. So just to kind of recap, we've got 8 points, and those points are checking to see if we've got restrictions on a product that prevent us from selling that right then and there. We always want to check the sales rank. We always want to check our competitors. We want to look at the quantity of competitors as well as the type of competitors, the type of sellers, whether it's Amazon selling it, other Amazon fulfilled sellers selling it, or merchant fulfilled sellers selling it. And then point number 4 is velocity. Point number 5 is product trends. Point number 6 is going to be cost to acquire. Point number 7, profit margin. And point number 8, product reviews. If you can run a product through those 8 points and get as many of those things to check off as possible, you're really bettering your chances of making a good decision on a product that's going to perform well for you. So I hope this has been helpful and that you've enjoyed what we've had to talk about. And if you have any further questions, obviously you can follow up and talk with your coach a little bit more on it. And we'll kind of go from there. But again, thanks for coming out to the training, and have a great day.